Your Excellencies, His Excellency the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, Engineer Abdullahi A. Sule, His Excellency the Executive Governor of Benue State, Dr. Samuel Otom, His Excellency the Executive Governor of Plateau State, Right Honorable Samuel Bako Lalong, His Excellency the Executive Governor of Kogi State, His Excellency Alhaji Yahaya Adoza Bello, His Excellency the Executive Governor of Niger State, His Excellency Abubakar Sani Bello.
You are welcome to Lafia.
State,
the event unfolding is of Central Nigerian Police Regional Security Summit.
Excellency, Deputy Governors of the entire
Everybody is here, of course. Governors of the North Central Geopolitical Zone, FCT Minister, top echelon of Nigerian police, and sister security organizations, traditional rulers, National Assembly members, and the people.
The North Central version of the Nigeria Police Regional Security Summit. Other distinguished guests who are here, others. Your Excellencies, first would like to tender unreserved apologies that we are starting rather late, and would like to apologize to all those that have been seated here. Would like to respectfully recognize the presence of our highly esteemed, most respected, and most distinguished senators and members of the House of Representatives from the National Legislature. Would like to pay our respects to the immediate past governor of Nasarawa State, most distinguished Senator Umaru Tanko Makura, the former governor of Nasarawa State as well, who is here, most distinguished Senator Abdullahi Adamu Turakin Kepi, other senators who are here with us. Would like to pay you your due respect, and right honorable members of the National Legislature, the House of Representatives. Would also like to recognize and welcome the Speaker, Nasarawa State House of Assembly, principal officers of the Nasarawa State House of Assembly, my Lord, the Chief Judge of Nasarawa State, members of the North Central Security and the Executive Councils of all the states within the North Central region, honorable commissioners from the North Central, security chiefs, particularly police commissioners from around the North Central, who have also been here very steadfast to make sure that this North Central Security Regional Summit takes place. You're most warmly welcome. Here in Nasarawa State, our special advisors who have served as hosts to this august gathering, special advisors, the secretary to the state government, Nasarawa State, other secretaries of state governments from within the North Central region. We have heads of civil service from the North Central. We have permanent secretaries, chief executives and commissions of boards and parastatals, executive chairmen of local government councils all around the North Central. We would like to also pay our respect most especially to our royal fathers, beginning with the host, His Royal Highness, the Emir of Lafia and chairman of the Nasarawa State Traditional Council of Chiefs, Justice Sidi Bage Mohammed I, all members of the Nasarawa State Traditional Council of Chiefs. Would like to specially pay our due respect and homage to those who are respected traditional rulers of North Central, resplendent, respected elders, stakeholders, and royal fathers all across the North Central who are here, who will duly and most respectfully recognize you as the occasion unfolds. Members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have the chairman, Senate Committee, Police Affairs, who is here with us. We have the chairman, House Committee, Police Affairs, who is here with us. Members of the National Assembly. We have our guest speaker, who is the Director General of the nation's apex think tank, the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS Kuru, Professor Galadimo, who is also here, who will deliver the keynote as the event unfolds. Would like to most respectfully recognize everyone, my lords, spiritual and temporal. I proffer unreserved apologies for those that I have not called or recognized, but would like to let you know that you are most respectfully, most warmly welcome to Lafia, to Nasarawa State. Thank you very much for coming over. Now would also like to recognize our own, one with whom we hold very proud, the GOC General Commanding Officer of the 3rd Armored Division in Jos, Major General Nuhu Angbazo, who is here, who is also representing the Chief of Army Staff as well. We have a moderator. When the paper has been presented, we will properly recognize and call him as well. I'd like to apologize that I may not be able to call everyone instantly at this point, but I'd like to assure you that the respect and goodwill of His Excellency, Engineer Abdullahi Esule, goes with you. The respect of goodwill and of the IG of Police also goes with you, and we'd like to most warmly welcome you. The item we have before us is the welcome remarks. Your Excellencies, of all the influential books that have been written or said about warfare, there's a book that was written in the 5th century. It's titled The Art of War. And I'm sure everybody here, leaders as you are and people who are strategists, have read the book The Art of War. And in The Art of War, which was written by Sun Tzu, he said in the 5th century that if you know yourself and you know your enemy, then you don't have to be worried about the result of 100 battles. He further said that if you know yourself, but you do not know your enemy, then you would win one battle and lose the next battle. But if you don't know yourself and you do not know the enemy, you will lose every battle. The IG of Police has called us, the entire North Central region today, so that we can know ourselves, so that we can better understand what our common enemy is, what is impeding security in the North Central region. It is therefore my singular honor and privilege to call on the Inspector General of Police to present the welcome remarks, IG Muhammad Abubakar Adamu. Can we give him a rousing warm welcome applause, please?
Hold it first. Thank you. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State and other Executive Governors from North Central State, the Chairman, Senate Committee on Police Affairs, the House Chairman of Police Affairs, the traditional rulers here present, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start by apologizing that we are starting late. Not because we came late, everybody came on time, but we had another side meeting with the repentant bandits who are here with us, and they are going to also speak to us. They are tired of staying in the bush, so we had to stay with them and had meeting with them on how to cooperate and assist them to be good citizens. It was after that meeting we came here, so we apologize. Your Excellency, I'm delighted to address you and to be part of this North Central Security Summit. May I also express my gratitude to the host of this event summit. This important summit, which is aimed at addressing the security challenges presently being experienced in the states under the North Central region. This summit will enable us to interact and exchange valuable ideas on the security issues concerning the region. It will also avail me the opportunity to update the delegates on the community policing strategy already in place by the Nigeria Police to mitigate the security challenges. As at today, security summits have been held in 4 geopolitical zones of the country. They are all geared towards effective integration and implementation of the community policing strategy. Resolutions were reached by stakeholders at the security summits to partner and collaborate effectively with the police and find a lasting solution to the security challenges in their respective regions. So far, the implementations of the outcomes of the various summits have resulted in unprecedented successes, resulting in significant decline in the rate of crime in the country. Incidentally, this important security summit coincides with the implementation of all-encompassing community policing strategy. Upon my assumption of office, I discovered that Nigeria Police was grappling with some internal security threats. Some of these threats, which were particularly prevalent in the north-central part of the country, included harder farmers' conflicts, armed robbery, banditry, kidnapping, with attendant consequences on national security. Over the last 12 months, the Nigerian Police Force has been very resolute and determined in our responses to addressing these security threats in the north-central region. These strategies have yielded considerable successes. Consequently, during my first year in office, a total of 6,531 suspects were arrested nationwide. In like manner, 21,870 live ammunitions and 2,037 firearms of various descriptions were recovered. In addition, 1,527 kidnapped suspects were equally apprehended. Furthermore, several meetings were initiated by the Nigeria Police Force between the Miet Allah Association representing herders and farmers in the affected states. In the course of these engagements, agreements were reached to maintain peace, eschew acts of violence, and promote peace. This, no doubt, has contributed to the relative peace currently being enjoyed in most of the affected communities. This is evident by the gradual return of internally displaced persons to their various homes. As a deliberate policy for improved security and safety of our country, I also embarked on comprehensive reform of the Nigeria Police to reposition it for improved service delivery. To this end, police formations and commands have been reorganized and re-equipped for effectiveness and efficiency. In the coming days, a number of new mobile police squadrons will be established in trouble spots to complement existing security architectures and boost safety and security across the country. This is aside from the creation of several new police stations and divisions to bring police services closer to the people. Aside this initiative, the federal government is convinced that for internal security to be strengthened, the participation of the people at the community level is very important. Almost in all the cases, experiences of anarchy, lawlessness, agitation, terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, among others, occur at the community level. Therefore, mobilizing for the participation of the citizens in securing their communities, especially at the local level, is a key strategy that the government is determined to employ in its efforts to provide total security for the citizens. It is in this context that the federal government has approved the adoption of community policing approach as the strategy for policing Nigeria and guaranteeing internal security order. Community policing comprises of a variety of practical and physiological approaches, and it varies depending on the needs and responses of the various communities. Nonetheless, certain characteristics and considerations are common to all community policing efforts. Community policing does not imply that police are stripped of their authority or that their primary responsibility of preserving law and order is relegated. Rather, it is built on the philosophy that working in partnership with the stakeholders that exist within the community will enhance the efficiency and reliability of police and also engender the security and safety of the community. Through community policing, stakeholders and residents become active in addressing the problem of crimes and curb other criminalities in their various communities at an early stage. The strategy creates a new emphasis on making community members active participants in the process of solving community security challenges, and it is hinged on mutual trust and confidence. The strength of the strategy lies in the fact that it will involve the ordinary citizens in ensuring their security and that of their communities. It will involve all traditional, local leaders, and all structures of civil society. It is worthwhile to note that the foundation of our community policing strategy rests on the cooperation of traditional rulers who will be asked to nominate credible citizens to be trained by the police as community policing officers. As I have already alluded to, our community policing strategy seeks to ensure a comprehensive and participatory approach to security that will guarantee constructive social relations and greater cohesion between the police and the communities. A successful community policing strategy will increase trust, confidence, and communication between the community and the police, and most significantly, reduce crime. In line with the federal government's agenda, deliberate strategic steps have been taken to deepen community policing in living to the responsibility for the protection of lives and properties of Nigeria. As a sign of commitment to the implementation of the strategy, the federal government, under the purposive leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, has graciously made resources available to the Nigeria Police for the recruitment of special constable, as is enshrined in Section 49 and 50 of the Nigeria Police Act, which will work with traditional rulers, religious leaders, local associations, organized bodies, and local divisional police officers to make our communities safer. In relation to the other specific policing strategies for effective crime management in the North Central region and other parts of the country, we have recently deployed the police smart surveillance CCTV camera on the move vehicles, armored personnel carriers, and other state-of-the-art tactical operational vehicles to aid our operational capacity in dealing with highly organized violent criminal network. We have also established the Nigeria Police National Command and Coordination Center and the Nigeria Police Crime and Incident Database. These critical policing assets were recently commissioned by Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari, and with their deployment, the Nigeria Police is poised to not only make Nigerians safe, but to make Nigeria a safer place. As we acknowledge this modest achievement in the last 1 year, I must not forget to express the gratitude of the officers of the Nigeria Police to the wonderful, good people of Nigeria, and in particular the government and law-abiding people of North Central states whose cooperation and support made our work much easier. Indeed, we are grateful. To us as a responsible agents of government, we consider your trust and confidence as a challenge for us to redouble our efforts, and this we intend to do without hesitation. To this end, I seek for the cooperation of all the stakeholders present to actively work with the Nigeria Police and their communities to jointly put an end to the security challenges that is threatening our common values within the region. On this note, I thank Your Excellency, Engineer Abdullahi Sule, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, for hosting this critical internal security summit. I also immensely appreciate our state executives from North Central Zone who are here and their representatives for attending this summit. I similarly deeply acknowledge our royal fathers for their strategic and other strategic partners for being here. By your presence, you have joined the Nigeria Police and other security agencies in demonstrating your individual and collective commitment to the safety of your community in particular and North Central in general. I'm confident that the outcome of this summit shall deepen our understanding of the dynamics of peculiar security threats in the region and also throw up new strategies that will strengthen our capacity to attain our internal security mandate. I thank you all and look forward to the successful engagement. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to guide and protect the North Central zone and our dear country. Thank you for your attention.
Can we give a rousing round of applause to the Inspector General of Police? While other police officers might just be fit for employment within Nigeria, the IG of police is one person who is fit for law enforcement everywhere in the world, actually. He's one person that even in the 82-year-old history of the Interpol is the first African to have ever been appointed to the position of a director. And that is why the IG of police always insists that all police action must be predicated, it must be anchored and taken within the dictates of the rule of law and, of course, uncompromising adherence to human rights and protection of making sure that everything abides by best global practices. The IG of police, IGP Abubakar Muhammad Adamu. At this point, we would call on the chief executives of the North Central, beginning with the 9th most populous state in Nigeria, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Benue State, Dr. Samuel Otom, to give his own remarks. Can we give him a rousing round of applause, please? Okay. We will come back to we will go to the other governors. We'll first take the host governor who would give the welcome address before we go to each of the governors, beginning with His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi Esle. We tender unreserved apologies.
Your Excellency, the Governor of Plateau State and Chairman of the Northern Governors Forum, Barrister Simon Bakola Long, Your Excellency, the Governor of Benue State, Dr. Samuel Otom, Your Excellency, the Governor of Kogi State, Alhaji Yahaya Bello, Your Excellency, the Governor of Niger State, Alhaji Abubakar Sani Bello, Your Excellency, the Governor of Kwara State, Alhaji Abdurrahman Abdurazak. The pride son of Nasarawa State, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Mohammed A. Adamu MNI. Distinguished senators and honorable members of the House of Reps, especially our two former governors who are present here. Right Honorable Speaker of the Nasarawa State House of Assembly, the Chief Judge of Nasarawa State, the guest speaker, another proud son of Nasarawa State, Professor Habu Galadima, the DG of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, Kuru. The General Officer commanding the 3rd Division, another proud son of Nasarawa State, DIG and AIGs here, principal officers and members of the Nasarawa State House of Assembly, and other members of the various State House of Assembly from the North Central Zone, members of the State Executive and Security Councils of the entire zone who are present here, special advisors, the various SSGs from the zone who are present here, the National Vice Chairman of APC from the zone, our dear royal fathers, being led by the Emir of Lafia and Chairman of the Nasarawa State Traditional Council, the other royal fathers who are present here, the former deputy governors, former senators, and former members of the House of Reps who are present here, religious and community leaders, as well as political leaders, invited guests, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I think as the host governor, even though the IG has done the apology, I should also add by sincerely apologizing to all of you for starting this meeting a little late. But the reason why that happened is for good. We are actually very lucky today that most of these bandits who are in the bush, we have been able to get about 37 of them, including their leaders of the kidnappings in the various areas who are surrendering today right in front of you, coming here in a short while. It is therefore my pleasure to be in your midst today on the occasion of this North Central Regional Security Summit taking place here in Lafia. We want to thank you for selecting Lafia, and we want to thank everyone for accepting to come and make it such a very successful event from the side of attendance. I warmly welcome Your Excellencies, the Executive Governors of the zone, who found time in the midst of their very important events to be here. Indeed, we are in presence. Let me also specifically and especially welcome our dear son, the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Abubakar Adamu, who indeed is the son of the soul and from the region for this special. Similarly, I welcome other critical stakeholders from the zone who are coming to Lafia for this auspicious summit, particularly the DIGs, AIGs, CPs, and other security administrators. In the same vein, I acknowledge the participants, at this summit, and I thank you for coming for this event. Let me express our profound gratitude for the opportunity availed us to host this auspicious gathering. Let me also commend the Nigerian Police Force for conceiving the idea of this summit, which is actually being conducted around all the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I must say that this summit will in no doubt provide us with an ample opportunity in the zone to share experiences, appraise and recommend appropriate measures on the security situation for the continued sustenance of peace, coexistence among the diverse ethnic nationalities, not only in the region, but the country at large. The theme of this summit is Strategic Partnership for Effective Community Policing in the North Central FCT. This theme is in line with the commitment of Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari's administration to address the security challenges in this country. It is pertinent to note that this country is contending with a lot of security challenges, ranging from bomb explosions, armed robbery, human trafficking, kidnapping and abduction, murder, activities of the Boko Haram sect, communal clashes and conflict between farmers and herders, among others. Indeed, crimes and criminality have led to the proliferation of small arms and light weapons, which are freely used by unpatriotic elements to achieve heinous and selfish aims. This unpleasant development has become worrisome and a cause for concern, not only to the security agencies, but to every one of us. The coming on board of the present administration under His Excellency, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, has in no doubt significantly degraded the activities of Boko Haram and sundry insurgent onslaught. However, the resurgence of attacks on soft targets and security formations by the dreaded Boko Haram in the northeastern part of the country, as well as kidnapping and other activities of the bandits in some parts of the northwest, as well as here in the north central, including farmers and herdsmen crises, are actually entailing the necessary for us to strategize towards combating these security challenges. In this regard, it behoves us all individually and collectively to take matters of security very, very seriously. There is therefore the need for government and critical stakeholders such as all of you to sustain efforts in sensitizing the public on security through the print and electronic media and sociocultural associations, particularly the grassroots. I believe that such an endeavor will make the public security consciousness a reality. You are no doubt aware that Nasarawa State has its own share of security challenges. The challenges which we had to contend with are majorly conflicts between herders and farmers, as well as some ethnic challenges that we have had in the past. This, as you are aware, is a national phenomenon that government at all levels is in to address, particularly with the current initiative of the federal government aimed at developing ranches throughout the country, especially through the mechanism called the National Livestock Transformation Plan, NLTP, which of course Nasarawa State has fully keyed into. You will also recall that Nasarawa State also witnessed criminal insurgence of another outlawed ethnic militia, codenamed Umbase, between 2012 and 2014. Several innocent people, including the Nigerian police as well as DSS, lost their lives during the period of that crisis. A commission of inquiry was established, and the report of that white paper is currently being implemented. Let me also state that the state witnessed essential challenges occasioned by the spillover of herdsmen and farmers crisis in the neighboring Benue State, especially with the introduction and subsequent implementation of the anti-open grazing law in November 2017. As a consequence, Nasarawa State had to contend with the influx of people displaced from the crisis, including herdsmen and thief farmers with their families and cattle in the area. The thief farmers were camped in about 20 IDP camps at a border communities with Benue, leading to overstretching of our facilities, and in addition, the provision of food items and medical services to the various IDP camps. This situation caused psychological trauma and disrupted economic activities of our people at the time. The prompt response of the federal government, which deployed security personnel, greatly enhanced the restoration of normalcy and maintenance of law and order. The visit by His Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the visits by the IGP, Chief of Army Staff, and Chief of Air Staff further consolidated the efforts of our security agencies and Nasarawa State government in bringing the situation under control. Let me also state that Nasarawa State government, in collaboration with other stakeholders, found lasting solutions to lingering Egbera and Bassa crisis in total local government area of the state. Unfortunately, this crisis was reignited as a result of the spillover effect of crises between the same ethnic groups across from Kogi State. Government and relevant security agencies are working with critical stakeholders from the affected ethnic groups on the side of Nasarawa State towards restoring peace and harmonious coexistence, not only among the two ethnic groups, but other nationalities, especially in the total local government area of Nasarawa State, and by extension, all the border communities of both Nasarawa and Kogi State. It is pertinent to note that in our efforts towards ensuring sustainable peace in the state, the Nasarawa State government initiated the community-based conflict resolution mechanism, whereby warring parties are encouraged to come together, discuss their differences, and resolve them amicably. In this regard, committees have been established at the state, local government, district, and village levels. We found this initiative workable, and it is only when this initiative does not work that we take the matters to the police and other security agencies. We have also established the Nasarawa Youth Empowerment Scheme, the NAES. Although NAES is not a security outfit, but it has continued to serve as a veritable tool towards community policing and to complement the role of conventional security agencies in the state. Government will continue to strengthen NAES and all the various vigilante groups across the state to perform their duties effectively and supporting the security agencies in the maintenance of law and order. Shortly after I assumed office in July, I led a delegation of Nasarawa State government to Benue in order to address several security challenges affecting the two states. This was reciprocated by my big brother, the Benue State Governor, His Excellency Dr. Samuel Atom, on 12th of July 2020, he was able to also be accompanied by top government functionaries, traditional rulers, opinion leaders, and security chiefs from Benue to come to Nasarawa and address most of these issues. And I want to thank my brother, the Benue State Governor, actually for taking the time. Let me also congratulate you for your case yesterday. Similarly, the operations of Operation Wildstroke, with headquarters in Makodi, Benue State, and bases in some locations in the state to mitigate farmer herders clash and other criminal activities, have greatly contributed in our collective efforts towards sustainable peace in our border communities. You may wish to be further informed that both Nasarawa and Benue State government have appealed to the federal government not to withdraw the personnel of Operation Wildstroke. And I want to thank Mr. President, I want to thank the Chief of Army Staff for actually heeding to our advice. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies, you may wish to note that there was a collaborative effort between the states of Benue, Nasarawa, Kogi, Niger, Kaduna, and Plateau, including the FCT, codenamed G7 Security Meeting. This was initiated way back in 2007 to ensure provision of adequate security of lives and property of citizens within the G7 security community. This is with a view to appraise the security situation from the different perspectives, aimed at sharing experiences on the basis to approach effective management of the security situations among the member states and beyond. However, due to some circumstances, the G7 Joint Security Meeting became dormant. I'm happy earlier today, the new chairman of that group, the governor of Niger State, has agreed to take over so that we can continue with such meetings. The situation became a source of concern to all of us in Nasarawa State, particularly with the prevailing security challenges facing our dear country and the member states. Consequently, the government of Nasarawa State, after due consultation with all the member states, resolved that the Security Summit meeting be revived and be held on a quarterly basis. There is therefore the need to work together to address SEM, because collective action is known to be more effective than individual action. The need, therefore, to revive the G7 Joint Security Meeting cannot be overemphasized. At this juncture, let me commend the efforts of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Muhammadu Buhari, in revolving the different approaches towards addressing the security challenges in the country. They include the constitution of the Presidential Committee on the Farmer Herder Crisis in collaboration with Nasarawa State Government in 2018, the constitution of the Committee on Pastoralists and Farmers Conflict by the Ministry of Defense also in 2018, and the deployment of the Special Security Outfit, codenamed Operation Wildstroke. Before concluding this address, let me state that peace, security, and harmonious coexistence is a collective responsibility for all. We must endeavor to come together in unison to fight crimes and criminality in our society for the collective good of every one of us. We also must encourage and support the efforts of our security agencies towards securing our environment for socio-economic activities to thrive. Distinguished participants, the Nasarawa State Government has made adequate arrangements for the success of this event. I urge you to feel at home and to enjoy the hospitality of the good people of Nasarawa State. On this note, let me once again welcome my colleagues, other stakeholders, and security agencies to this event. I wish you a hitch-free deliberations. Thank you, and may God.
We'd like to thank the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, Engineer Abdullahi A. Sule, for the welcome remarks. Your Excellencies, at this point, there's been a slight shift in the program. If you have the program booklet with you, we will not be taking the remarks by the executive governors of the various states of the North Central. We would skip to the point where we will take the keynote address by the guest speaker. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, the North Central Nigeria Police Regional Security Summit here holding in Lafayette has the theme Strategic Partnership for Effective Community Policing in the North Central Zone. And our guest speaker is the Director General of NIPS, the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies in Kuru in Plateau State. It was established about 40 years ago as a high-level center for reflection, research, and learning. It is serving as Nigeria's foremost policy think tank, and Professor Habu S. Galadima, incidentally an indigene of Nasarawa State, is currently the Director General. Professor EEO Ale Mika of the Department of Sociology and the Faculty of Social Sciences from University of Jos will serve as the moderator to Professor Habu Galadima's paper, which the guest speaker will be presenting. It might just be worthwhile to mention that about 8 years ago, in the year 2012, it was so impossible to achieve any meaningful development here in the north, and of course the Northern State Governors Forum decided to bring 30 wise men, amongst whom was Professor Habu Galadima, our guest speaker. Our guest speaker, the Director General, NIPS, here to present his speech. You're welcome, sir.
Too close. Can you see? Your Excellencies, the Governor of Nasarawa State, Engineer Abdullah Sule, the Chief Host, I want to thank you very much for inviting me to this very important occasion. Your Excellencies, the governors of the North Central States, or the states in the North Central Zone, distinguished senators, honorable members of the House of Representatives, the dynamic Inspector General of Police, our royal fathers, with your kind permission, let me rest on the existing protocol, the protocol already established. I'm here to speak on strategic partnership for effective community policing in the North Central Zone. The North Central Zone is strategically situated in the middle of the country, between the north and the south, and has the largest concentration of minority ethnic groups in the country. Like the confluence of the River Niger and River Benue, it provides attraction to all ethnic groups, all ethnic nationalities in the country, thereby making it the most ethnically heterogeneous and culturally diverse geopolitical zone in the country. It provides a converging point for political fault lines, which easily result in violent conflicts. In strategic terms, with its population approximating that of Ghana, it is blessed with opportunities. The zone is well endowed by nature with very rich vegetation and provides a lot of attraction to the transhumans headers from northern states of the country, as well as from Mali, Senegal, Central African Republic, Cameroon, Niger, Chad, among others. It is well bestowed with irrigated and arable land, rich pasture, forest reserve, and water bodies. The zone has marked ecological diversity and climatic contrasts, along with diverse biophysical characteristics, agroecological zones, and socioeconomic conditions. It is indeed the food basket of the country. About 80% of the population derives income from agriculture. The zone is also endowed with various mineral resources that offer potential for economically viable industrial and agricultural development projects There is also plenty of untapped energy resources in the zone. It is noteworthy that the North Central states are not only rated the third poorest in the country after the Northeast and the Northwest states, but the security environment in the states, in the North Central zone and the FCT is characterized by volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, with serious consequences for the internal security of the country. A number of the states have been experiencing protracted and intractable conflicts, often facilitated by easy availability of small arms and light weapons. Indeed, small arms and light weapons are becoming endemic in the country and the stoke conflicts, particularly in the North Central states. They are expressed in the form of religious violence, ethno-religious conflicts, indigeneity and settlement, as well as access to land and livelihoods, herders farmers conflicts, cultism, kidnapping, banditry, and cattle rustling, among many others. The complexity of certain crimes, coupled with increasing antisocial behavior and other emerging crime patterns, have increased demand for police services exponentially. The Nigerian Police Force is the lead agency recognized by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended for the maintenance of internal security in the country. The force is at the heart of internal security management in Nigeria. The force is faced with a lot of human, logistics, and other related challenges that have affected its effectiveness over time. Indeed, personnel shortages have been identified as one of the critical issues affecting policing in the country. There is a wide gap between the existing and the required number of police personnel to provide internal security for the country. The Nigerian Police Force Research and Planning Department 2018 disclosed that there is 1,533 police divisions nationwide. These divisions lack the required number of personnel for effective policing. Consequently, the Nigerian Police Force requires partnership to ameliorate security challenges in the country. Without the support of the communities as partners in reporting crimes and incidents, sharing their knowledge on perpetrators of crimes, antisocial behavior, and public disorder, the reach of the police is limited in its capacity to tackle many of the security challenges affecting our people. In 2018, the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPSCURU, was directed by the President to develop policy options and strategies for enhancing internal security through community policing. Part of the recommendations of the National Institute submitted to the federal government included, among others, the need to develop strategic partnership for community policing. This included the imperative of developing a policy framework for security sector reform in Nigeria by the federal government, with a view to incorporating security actors in the formal and informal sectors, including communities, into the national security architecture. This proposed reform is expected to achieve two purposes. First, it will help in bridging the gap occasioned by the failure of the state security agencies, especially in the rural areas, to respond effectively and adequately to emergency security situations. Most importantly, it will help the state and law and all levels to rebuild and reinforce its law enforcement and security provisioning capacity through a strategy that makes citizens as partners in the prevention of crime and criminality. Community policing has always been considered as one of the best approaches to help fight crimes and keep society safe. Let us pause at this point to introduce the concept of community policing. Although the IGP has deliberated on this in his speech, I want to stress that the general philosophy of community policing is built on police-community partnership that is driven by trust and confidence. Community policing as a philosophy entails partnership between the community and the security agencies towards problem solving. The concept of community policing means citizens taking lead in identifying the issues of crime, order in their area, with police playing the role of facilitators for enabling the citizens to attend to those issues. Community policing focuses on crime and social disorder through the delivery of police services that include aspects of traditional law enforcement as well as prevention, problem solving, community engagement, and community policing requires police and citizens to join together as partners in the cause of both identifying and effectively addressing these issues. Besides being a philosophy, it is an effective tool and is being tried by the police all over the world. The objectives of community policing are to maintain the gap between police and citizens to such an extent that the police become an integrated part of the community they serve, and they earn the acceptance and trust of the community, leading to spontaneous cooperation from people in crime prevention and security in local area, and resulting in a lasting partnership between the police and the community. The mission of community policing is to prevent and detect crime, maintain order, and ensure safety and security of communities, particularly in partnership with the people, and to provide the community efficient, transparent, and responsive law enforcement machinery which perpetuates the rule of law. In this context, community policing consists of two core components: community partnership with the police and problem solving. In this partnership, while crime control and prevention remain central priorities, community policing strategies use a wide variety of methods to achieve these goals. The police and the community become partners in addressing problems of disorder, neglect, and other activities that can eventually lead to serious crime. The view here is that the partnership between the police and the community is strengthened over time. The ensuing partnership will be better and able to pinpoint and mitigate the underlying causes of crime. The expectation here is that the implementation of community policing will necessitate fundamental changes in the structure and management of police organizations. Community policing offers a myriad of benefits. Making effective use of the talents and resources available within communities will help to extend severely strained police resources. Also, reduced levels of crime will allow more police resources to be allocated to services that have the greatest impact on the quality of community life. It is, however, important to mention that community policing must be built on a strong foundation of community support and engender trust and confidence for it to be efficient and effective. Strategic partnership between the police and communities include active participation of governmental institutions at all levels, civic and business leaders, public and private agencies, residents, mosques, churches, schools, and hospitals, and all who share a common concern for the welfare of the neighborhood to bear responsibility for safeguarding that welfare. In other words, community policing refers to measures employed by communities in taking a unified stand against crime, violence, and disregard for the law, and also in making a commitment to increasing crime prevention and intervention activities. There has been numerous efforts by successive administrations in addressing the security challenges in the country. In 2004, the Nigerian Police Force introduced community policing in 7 pilot states as a strategy for involving the communities in addressing security challenges within their domains. However, this strategy of policing was not adequately contextualized, and this is largely because community policing was primarily limited to the Nigerian Police Force and does not incorporate the communities and all the stakeholders in the intentional and coordinated manner. At this point, I want to commend the IGP for intensifying efforts at implementing many of the recommendations for the establishment of community policing and institutionalizing it in this country. The assertion that community policing goes beyond partnership between the police and community to include active participation of governmental institutions at all levels, civic and business leaders, public and private agencies, residents, mosques, churches, schools, and hospitals, and all who share a concern for the welfare of the neighborhood. To bear responsibility for safeguarding that welfare entails strategic partnership for its efficient implementation. This strengthens the assumptions that security as a public good is no longer the exclusive reserve of the state, because individuals, communities, corporate bodies, through partnership with state security agencies, now have fundamental roles to play in ensuring public safety and in reducing crime and criminality in the society. Thus, strategic partnership for effective community policing in the North Central states and FCT can be in the following dimensions. One, partnership with the community. Partnership with the community is considered the most important criteria for the effective implementation of community policing, because it is the first step necessary in community policing. Partnership with the community entails law enforcement agencies working with community residents to identify problems and collaborate on implementing solutions that produce meaningful results for the community, namely prevention and reduction of crime and criminality in the community. According to Bruce Stockman, developing community partnerships for effective community policing will, of necessity, go through 4 stages, from new immature partnership to mature performing partnerships, namely forming, storming, norming, and performing. He noted that going through these 4 stages will enable the development of great partnerships and adaptations to changing partnership dynamics. The second one is partnership with governments at states and local levels. The quest for the security of lives and property have seen governments at the state and local levels provide some logistic support to both the police, military and paramilitary agencies in several states across the country. Beyond the provision of logistics support, some state governments have gone into strategic partnerships with the police to provide training and collaboration with state-sponsored or state-co-opted vigilante and neighborhood outfits. Evidences indicate that beyond ensuring the efficiency of the implementation of community policing, especially at the rural areas, state governments may have developed some of these strategic partnerships with the police as a way of addressing the crisis of confidence and legitimacy, coupled with the recurrent abuse of human rights that characterize the operations of many vigilante groups, especially the militia groups across several states. In this strategic partnership, the state-sponsored vigilante and neighborhood watch groups provide intelligence to the police that enables effective crime prevention or investigation on the one hand. On the other hand, the police provide training and orientation to the members of the groups and assist the government in the recruitment process through the conduct of background checks on will-be members. In Plateau State, one of the most deliberate decisions taken by the Plateau State government in response to rising threats of insecurity was the establishment of Operation Rainbow and Neighborhood Watch, and the enactment of the Plateau State Rainbow and Neighborhood Watch Law 2012 that came into effect on March 2013. The co-option of community vigilantes and neighborhood watch groups by state governments and the establishment of strategic partnership, especially with the police, has helped significantly in addressing the escalation of security challenges. The third is the partnership among security agencies. Partnership among security agencies through joint security task forces for purposes of joint security operations is another strategic partnership that has enhanced effective community policing, especially in conflict and crisis endemic areas. The Joint Security Task Force strategy is an approach of partnership adopted by the National Security Council in the handling of serious and violent security challenges in the country. It involves the combination of various security agencies collaborating together in joint operations in order to achieve a common goal. The idea of a joint task force became prominent in Nigeria when the fight against militancy, terrorism, and insurgency assumed a frightening and calamitous dimensions, with no agency which no agency could handle alone. And so this cooperation became very, very necessary, and it gave birth to quite a number of other operations that have been captured in the paper. Another has to do with the partnership with the public sector agencies. Strategic partnership should be geared towards collaboration with other formal public sector and security agencies like the hospitals, public schools, tertiary institutions, national emergency management, and so on. All these agencies have very important role to play in community policing. A cordial and strategic partnership between these agencies will enhance information and intelligence gathering and sharing amongst them. Another has to do with the partnership with the private sector. And this is the practice particularly in the Niger Delta states, in the Niger Delta parts of the country. Benefits of strategic partnerships in community policing. Strategic partnership has some inherent benefits for community policing, which include the following: establishing partnerships between the police, which is the lead agency for internal security, with other security actors, formal and informal, including states and local governments and organizations working from the policy level to community-based operations. For instance, management and oversight bodies, including executive, legislature, and so on, ensures the efficiency of community policing strategies because collective security initiatives contribute to broader institutional and system-wide changes and more effective outcomes. Strategic partnership, especially with the civil society and community-based groups, is important also to provide the more comprehensive approach to community policing. For instance, multi-sectoral partnerships help to educate law enforcement personnel as well as provide them a better understanding of what interactions and relationships are needed to compact crime and criminality within a given community. Let me quickly look at the strategies for effective community policing in the northern states, in the north central states and the FCT. One is youth mentorship. In Canada, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police uses outreach programs and youth engagements to enlighten and influence the youth through youth behavior modeling, mentoring, active learning, engaging them to positively influence their peers, schools, and communities. Canada has a school-based prevention initiatives, youth police partnership programs carried out by the Center for Youth Crime Prevention in Canada. So we can draw lessons from this. We can begin mentoring of our youths and engaging them in schools and also through peer groups. In the case of Republic of Benin, massive public enlightenment campaigns help to bridge the gap between the police and the populace. This has also yielded tremendous results in terms of crime prevention. So intensive public enlightenment campaigns is very, very important. And the Dutch police engages the citizens more frequently to gain input from them on better ways to achieve internal security. Effective community policing could be achieved in the north central states through the use of fora organized by professional agencies, schools, private organizations, and local governments to solve security issues peculiar to every locality. Application of science, technology, and innovation is also another way of intensifying community policing. And this is practiced in quite a number of countries all over the world. Even in Ghana, for instance, the police service introduced the e-community policing initiative via the use of drones and CCTV cameras to monitor their communities, especially areas or places identified as hotspots for crimes. Similarly, countries such as Cameroon and quite a number of others employ the use of ICT in different capacities, including forensic laboratories in criminal investigation. I'm happy to note that the Nigerian Police Force has also taken this trend. Bayelsa, Kano, Lagos, Oyo, and Sokoto states, among others, have introduced closed-circuit television, which is being utilized. It has become expedient for the states in the North Central to commence frantic efforts to installing CCTV cameras, particularly areas classified as hotspots. Furthermore, the Nigerian police force will support these states with its forensic laboratories and train more personnel on use of science, technology, and innovation to strengthen internal security in the zone. The neighborhood watch, the states in the North Central states could strengthen the use of vigilante and neighborhood watch at the local levels to monitor communities and should integrate them into the internal security architecture with defined rules and rules of engagement to operate in partnership with the police. Empowering traditional rulers is very key to community policing. In Cameroon, traditional rulers are appointed as auxiliary administrators and serve as links between the communities and security outfits. They also educate and encourage residents to be vigilant and report the presence of strangers within their communities. In the Republic of Niger, traditional rulers are effectively integrated in community policing and is backed by legislation. In Nigeria, traditional rulers do not have constitutional roles in security management, and this has limited their effectiveness. Traditional institutions in states in the North Central Zone and the FCT have historical involvement in management of internal security in their respective domains from pre-colonial era. In recognition of this, the colonial authorities relied on the traditional internal security management systems. In recognition of their importance, the traditional institutions were given constitutional rules of administering their localities. This arrangement remained in force before 1976. Local administration reform expunged the administrative roles of traditional institutions from the Constitution. The development eroded the powers of the traditional institutions and rendered them irrelevant in the scheme of local governance in Nigeria. Yet all the tiers of government continue to rely on traditional institutions till date, whenever it becomes necessary to engage local populace on dicey and controversial issues of security and governance. Although there is no clear correlation between upsurge in rural criminality with the dwindling powers of traditional rulers, it appears that increase in rural banditry and crimes in North Central states are majorly attributable to the erosion of administrative powers of traditional institutions. There is therefore need to reconsider constitutional administrative roles for traditional institutions in Nigeria to enhance current efforts at curbing rural criminality and, by extension, urban crime in overall interest of national security. In conclusion, the basic goals of policing are enforcing laws, preserving peace, preventing crimes, protecting civil rights, liberties, and providing services. The foregoing indicates the importance and need for strategic partnership for effective community policing. While the relevance and utility of community policing cannot be overemphasized, especially given the increasing security challenges in contemporary society, there are challenges associated with the effective implementation. Addressing these challenges becomes very much an imperative in order to ensure the development of broad-based, comprehensive, and inclusive community policing strategies, which will be characterized by robust and cordial relationships between the formal security actors, especially the police as the lead agency in internal security, and communities including informal security institutions in joint patrol and intelligence sharing. The utility and acceptability of community vigilante and neighborhood watch groups, especially in the rural areas as agents of community policing, has over time been enhanced through partnership with the police. This has aided the police to respond effectively and adequately to emergency crises and security situations in the communities. However, for this partnership to result in effective community policing, governments at all levels should encourage cordial and robust relationships between communities and state security agencies, especially the police, in order to expand, deepen, and sustain collaboration within the security sector. This can be done through the formation of statewide platforms for meetings, dialogue, and collaborative trainings, especially for actors in the informal sector. Part of the proposed statewide platforms for meetings and dialogue should include training of group members on human rights observation and the sensitization of community members and the general public on the functions and roles of vigilante groups and need for a harmonious relationship between and among them. For community policing to generate the desired result, it is vital to involve the community throughout the process in the identification of problems and evolving solutions. It is a systematic reassurance strategy where dedicated and locally devolved officers who are familiar with the neighborhood are visible, accessible, well-informed, and able to enforce order. Indeed, finally, it is important that in so doing, public problems become policing priorities. Joint actions are undertaken to find solutions involving every stakeholder. There is sensitivity to the needs of victims, the provision of victim support and action to avoid repeat victimization, and prevention of reoffending is achieved by reintegrating offenders into the community. Putting the needs and priorities of the community first will be at the heart of our community policing strategy. On this note, I want to thank Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, for offering me this opportunity and also for listening. Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank the Director General for the paper which he presented. I'd like to invite Professor EEO Alemika of the Department of Sociology, Faculty of Social Sciences, University of Jos, the moderator, to briefly come and make his comment.
Peace is the bedrock of every nation. So on that, the engagement this afternoon is stressing the need to tackling community policing to the next level by tackling crime. And how the community can come together, because it is a responsibility for all.
Your Excellencies and the Inspector General of Police, our royal fathers, the spiritual leaders, I must acknowledge that Professor Habu Galadima has done a very thorough job in providing us the various dimensions of community policing and the strategies that are required. I'm not going to summarize what he had to say. I'm simply going to, before the other contributors, because I think the most important thing today is to hear the opinions of the generality of people who have come here, so that we have a diverse understanding of what needs to be done. We are at the point, I think the Inspector General of Police had said, at the point of doing. It's no longer at the point of talking or about adopting. So what do we need to do? I think Professor Galadima has highlighted two important things I want also to underscore. When we talk about community, we are talking community policing, not community police. It is important to distinguish between the two. Policing is an activity. Police as a concept refers to people and officials. So community policing had always been with the people, sometimes dominated by the police and directed by the police, but the police itself as an organization evolved from the community. It was just at some point in the history, everybody can no longer police. And therefore, we have to have what we now call professional police to do the job on our behalf. Now we are realizing that we have abandoned our responsibility to police beyond what is required and what is desirable. And we are returning to share responsibility with the police. So basically, if you need to summarize community policing, is returning to share the responsibility that belongs to us as citizens in ensuring security, safety, order, and solidarity in our respective communities. The second thing I want to underscore in the present context is that the smaller the community in which the policing strategy is employed, the more effective it is. You cannot have a community policing that is roved across the state, because there are two concepts here. The community is residential, essentially residential, neighborhood-based. It is not state-based. It is residential and community-based. The second aspect, it is interest-based. For example, the residential one is easily understood, but I think it's the interest aspect that is not often understood. Secondary and primary school, for example, in Latvia may encounter certain problems which are peculiar to educational institutions. They may come together and say, as providers of education, we want to adopt the following mechanism to ensure the safety of our children and the safety of our teachers. That is still a community. It's a community of educators. It can be businesses, provided they come together and try to solve a problem, they represent a community. When you share this responsibility, as Vladimir has said, it allows police to use more resources in an efficient way. I give you an example. In South Africa, what has been done is that the private security are more prominent in policing public corporate organizations. But what they do is they are required to mount electronic monitoring in their premises. And those electronic monitoring are coordinated by the police. So police need not deploy personnel into those mass spaces, but rather respond to request for intervention by those organizations. So I think for North Central, we're lucky that our communities have a tradition of organizing themselves, but we must also warn, let us not arm them, because it is easy to arm, but it's difficult to disarm. And usually violence, once it starts, always consumes those who promote it. So we need to be very careful in what we do. I need to say, because I'm moderating and I hope I need to give opportunity for people to say. So important point, two levels of communities, neighborhood community and then interest communities. The second thing is that the smaller the unit which community policing target, the more efficient it is. What the state needs to do is first to devise mechanism, regulation for the operation of the different groups. Therefore, each state, we cannot develop a regional network, we can develop a regional framework. There are differences between regional framework and regional law. We can develop regional framework. Why regional framework is important, there is what we call, in crime management, if Nasarawa become effective against crime, they will displace the criminal to Benue, and His Excellency Oton will now have headache. If it is effective in Nasarawa, they might displace it to Kogi. But when you have a regional framework, it is difficult for them to be displaced from one state to another. And that is why I think we are doing the right thing. But we cannot have a regional outfit. Let's aim at having a regional framework. Let's have a state regulatory program, and then have community-based, policing. The last thing I want to say is about planning. It is easy for police to plan if you have well-planned cities, when you have well-planned communities. The way we plan in Nigeria, including North Central, does not allow for effective policing. For example, in many places, police cannot get there if there is an emergency call. So when we are talking of partnership, it means that the police and Ministry of Land or whoever approve building need to collaborate in terms of how we can plan our cities and have greater access to each of the respective residential buildings. I think I will leave my comments at this level in order to give comments to other people who have come from different parts to make contributions. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. At this point, I'd like to invite a representative of the various states that constitute to share their own ideas. At this point, let me invite the representative of Nassau State, His Royal Highness, the Anduma of Duma. Let's put our hands together, ladies and gentlemen. Other states, please bring your nominations. Benue, Kogi, Kwara, Niger, Plateau, and the FCT, bring your nominations. You have 2 minutes to do that. Thank you. Why Niger?
Excellency, the host governor, Engineer Abdullahi Esele, Your Excellencies, the governors of Benue Plateau, Kogi, and Niger states, our Sunday Inspector General of Police, distinguished senators, Your Royal Highnesses, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm here at the instance of the Emir of Lafia and Chairman Nasarawa State Council of Chiefs to mention the solidarity of the people of Nasarawa State with the intention of the Nigerian Police Force under the leadership of our son, the Inspector General of Police, the host governor and co-host governors of the North Central states who have joined us in Nasarawa State to show solidarity with the intentions of government to ensure peaceful coexistence throughout the length and breadth of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Your Excellencies, the people of Nasarawa State, and indeed Nasarawa State is bordered by about 8 states, including the FCT, who have shared their circumstances when there is peace across all of these states, and we were common victims when there are difficult moments in their various states. Most often, we are hosts to their various circumstances. When they celebrate, we are with them. And when they are refugees and immigration, Nasarawa State has always provided the camps for such moments of migration. This intention to develop a framework for community policing by the IGP to Nasarawa State is a welcome development and a very pleasant relief, because at various times we have always received and have always been at the receiving end. The effort of the state government at various moments will have been stretched. For our hospitality, we have always been there for our brothers. So we hope this effort at community policing that Nasarawa State is hosting today will provide the leverage that at the end of the day, our various states and communities will do at several instances as the opportunity arises, efforts by various communities so there are no crises at all, so that Nasarawa State does not share in avoidable anxiety and pressure. But you can be rest assured, we will continue to remain very resolute as a state, to ensure internal peaceful coexistence between brothers and with our neighbors. And as the need will arise, we will always extend our hands of brotherhood and friendship to our neighboring states to ensure there's peaceful coexistence at our border communities and our relationship as fellow Nigerians. You can be rest assured the government of Nasarawa State, the communities in Nasarawa State will continue to identify with the good intentions of government, federal, states, and our neighbors to ensure peaceful coexistence and continuous brotherhood. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Nasarawa State is poised to identify with this laudable intention of government at the federal and at the various states to ensure a peaceful coexistence between and within Nigeria and with Nasarawa State, within ourselves as a state, and with our neighbors. We pray that God will bless the good intention of this summit, and at the end of the day, there will be peace in the North Central, there will be peace and brotherhood across the length and breadth of Nigeria as a nation. May God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Royal Highness, the Andoma of Doma. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the representative of Benue is To Kwande. I'd like to invite him to speak. We should be mindful of time, Your Excellencies. We can cut protocols and just go straight to our points. Thank you very much.
I seek your permission to adopt the established protocol. I am speaking on behalf of His Royal Majesty the Toti, who is not here, but has asked me to represent him. And I understand I am to speak on experience sharing on security in the North Central geopolitical zone. We in Benue have suffered a lot of attacks, starting with herders. Benue people are essentially farmers. And the herders we knew before came with sticks. Then suddenly we had an invasion of external herders who came armed, and killings were carried out systematically. Today, as we gather here to find solution, thousands of Benue people displaced from their ancestral homes are living in camps. These camps are in Agan, Bajimba, Daudu, Logo, Anyi, Kwande, and other places. The strange thing is that some of the communities displaced in Benue have refused to be in camps. They are living with relations and in-laws and so on. But we still have this hope. When Mr. Vice President visited the state, he promised that all those displaced that are in camps will have the places destroyed, rebuilt, so that they can go back to their ancestral lands. And we are praying fervently that the president and the federal government will honor this report. That will be one of the ways of restoring peace. Any community that wants to develop must embrace peace. Benue wants peace. Benue wants development. In efforts to stop or reduce the activities of invaders under the name herders, the Benue State government, through the legislature, passed a law which, out of lack of knowledge, some people have criticized. The law was a way of reducing the intensity of what Benue was experiencing. I forgot to mention Agatu and other areas in Idoma land where people have been displaced and they have no hope unless the intervention of the federal government. As I was saying, this law has been misinterpreted, that it is against herders. And I recall vividly when His Excellency was speaking to the state, he said the law will be implemented with a human face, and that is what is being done. So, I want to thank the initiators of this meeting. I wish it would have come much earlier. We also experience these things, and everybody now wants a solution which will help do away with wicked herders, kidnappers, bandits, and so on. The idea of community policing was raised to us in Kaduna by the Inspector General, who is present here and has made a paper already. I want to thank Your Excellencies and the Inspector General that if community policing is to be successful anywhere, as you have rightly said, traditional rulers must be involved. They know the area, they know people with questionable characters, they know people who can assist. And I think the idea should not remain on paper. We should go into action and get this problem of bandits, wild herders, and other criminal elements out of this place. I want to place on notice that some of the issues that have befallen this country seem not to be given the right description or recognition. Benue has an international boundary, and that is Kwande, from where I come. Of recent, while we have not done away with bandits, kidnappers, and other criminals, I understand government is considering visa on arrival. The international boundary we share with Cameroon is virtually not covered, even as of now. So, I want the authorities to consider this. If America, as a world power, is building walls to prevent Mexicans from coming into America, why would Nigeria leave her borders open? The closure of borders is bringing certain good things, and I think it should be a bit longer, and from here we should pick up and make sure our borders are safe. So, as traditional rulers, we welcome the idea of community policing. We shall participate actively if given the opportunity, and I know the Inspector General has already promised. So I want to thank everybody who has participated in raising this meeting to give us the opportunity to tell our own stories in our respective communities. I want to thank everybody for your audience. Thank you.
Representing Benue State there, ladies and gentlemen. Next is Kogi State, His Royal Majesty Dr. Ndako Ame Oboni, Atta of Igala and Chairman Kogi State Traditional Council, Your Royal Highness.
distinguished personalities, the executive governors of Central State, and the senators, lawmakers, and so on, and their Royal Highnesses. Let me stand on the existing protocol. I'm representing the Traditional Council of Kogi State. You will all agree with me that Kogi State is a mini Nigeria. One thing that is missing in what we are here for is we have not mentioned the clear definition. One, we continue to talk of community policing. Community policing. We are forgetting that communities have leaders. Kogi State is blessed with all people from all the corners of Nigeria to converge in that place. How we administer them locally, traditionally, is what Nigerians should learn. We have community leaders isolated from all the different communities, and we gather them together and tell them exactly what we want. And any miscreant that comes to the society, they are easily fished out. So we inform the authorities, and they are taken care of. Kogi State is an example for all Nigerians to come and copy. We don't have problem, but we were attacked by Fulani herdsmen because of their escapade across other states. But we came together, both even Fulanis and those who are with us, we flush them out. This is the type of community policing that should be. The police should, through the young Inspector General of Police, introduce police and to the hierarchy of the people, and then we have our own bearded people across the land, and then we work together, make pockets of like this across the country, and then people will be able to work in harmony, and then we make effective policing. It's not hard, it is easy. It's a question of adopting what we have been doing before in tackling this new problem, and we shall achieve results. All has been said, and I listened attentively to the Inspector General of Police speech, and it's full of good things. If we can implement, say, 60% of it, we shall not have any problem. Let's look inwards and take from what we have before this menace came to bedevil us. So I thank you all for making effort, but let's go back to the roots, what we have before. The community leader cannot be isolated from the new type of policing we're having. It is the community and their leaders. And the system we use in administering all the communities in Kogi State should be adopted. And then it will be good for all people in Nigeria. Thank you all. God bless you all.
Thank you, Your Royal Majesty. Kwara State, I'd like to invite His Royal Highness Alhaji Dr. Haliru Denisa, Emir of Shonga.
The North Central Zone comprises of Benue State, Kogi State, Kwara State, Nasarawa State, Niger State, Plateau State, and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja.
I think in Kwara State we're very grateful, we're thankful. I will thank you for organizing this seminar. On the whole, it's a peaceful state, but we still need to keep our guards on, so it's not a call for less security, but instead for more security. So we remain an example state. Over the last period we're looking at, recent past, we've had usual mundane activities of crime, issues like small arms, factories, thefts, cultism, and all the things generally are ambient across every community. There are accentuations, however, in some places like, for example, we had our own share of the Yahoo boys, and that lets me just make a simple comment. I appreciate what Professor Ilemeka has said. We have to make clear distinction between what the state can do,
what organizations can do and what community can do. All policing is an activity, not a people, not an organization. Now, we have Galadima, Professor Galadima, in his usual way, has given an analysis of what it has been. He's given root causes, and still he's not exhausted them. He's also tried to talk about how we can address the issues. Certainly, the strategy we're discussing here is community policing, and I think it's been discussed exhaustively. We're waiting for implementation, but a word of caution: Nigerians are good planners, but poor implementers. Good planners, poor implementers. If you cannot implement what you planned, the planning was bad. The planning was not relevant to your certain circumstance. Now, I think just going a little forward, why are we having an explosion in terms of all this misdemeanor? One thing I'll point a finger to is that our youth are moving in the cyberspace and they're moving ahead of their parents. Where our people are in cyberspace moving ahead of the establishment. Other countries are looking at how to curb crime within the cyberspace, regulations to limit how they influence politically and how they manipulate people and manipulate lines of cleavage. I don't think we're paying enough attention. We're playing to the gallery on controlling. We're not controlling. We're just effectively trying to see how we can use social media to enhance our unity, enhance our crime, deter crime, but at the same time not use it as instrument for crime. Now, the police, I have a word for the police. If you must get on top of the situation as the primary agency of security, you need a higher number, good quality, good attitude. They don't come cheap. What you do need actually is proper screening procedure for your police. You've got to establish that now. The traditional institution will help you, but we also need guidelines and we need, should I say, cross-referencing. A person is adjudged good, must be vetted by somebody else, and finally by traditional institution. This way, you must set up an elite squad, go out, train them in huge numbers, and have camps across the country. So you have to recruit massively. I know it's a question of money, but have an elite squad that is for recruitment purposes, all right? And also have a way of identifying and looking back at background checks. Send somebody to community, ask about the people after they've been vetted, before you pick them. Once you pick them, you keep watching them. Then you will have a police force that has people who have quality and value. Right now, our community values are warped, and we have not set up any proper orientation on how to get our values back. We need a systematic war against indiscipline and corruption that will last about 25 years. We'll start from kids, we'll move up, we'll lose some, we'll gain some. In about 20 years, we'll have a critical mass where Nigerians are knowing what to do. It's not a small task, not an easy task. Now, the issue of, like I said, issue of deterrent. People just escape. People keep saying, in the last 2 years, who has been jailed? Who has been reprimanded? If there had people who had us clash, you have not advertised it well enough. People just think there are no deterrents. If there are no deterrents, people go into more crime. The issue of media, you have to rein in on the media. The media has to have an ethos. The media is, with due respect to the people at the high table, the media is conniving with politicians to do what they want to do. And they are partly responsible for some of our problems, hyping up our issues, hyping up our crime. So I think really that's an area. Issue about school children, out of school children, Al-Majri, please let the clerics know Al-Majri is not an Islamic concept. Sorry, it's not Islamic, there's no allowance for Al-Majri the way we are running it. Al-Majri is somebody who has to go and properly study and be of use to the community. Now we have youth that are roaming around. You stop them and say, give me the first verse of the Quran, second verse of the Quran, simple Qul Huwallahu. They don't know how to recite it. They're just sitting in Malam's house, roaming and getting food for Malam. We need to reorganize that urgently, send them back to school. And the final comments, the Fulani had us clash. It was hyped politically. It's coming down to what it should be now. But there is still an element of criminality. Few police, few army, few people with conscience, and therefore, and then there's social media where you can expand and say nonsense along lines of cleavage. Not surprised, there's a massive explosion of issues. In conclusion, I will say community policing is a strategy that we must employ. But we must not think it's a panacea. We must not think it's a panacea or panacea, whatever word you call it, until we've carefully looked at what we're doing. We've carefully looked at exactly the implementation. In everything in Nigeria, if there's no monitoring evaluation, if there's no supervision, it does not work. The banks work because there's good supervisor whose job is online if he does not do the job. Anywhere where there's a supervisor doing his job, that organization works well. So whatever we put down, the implementation is very important and follow-up is very important in a formatted template so that we can be sure we're developing the effect we want. So I want to say once again, Kwara State is peaceful, especially the, shall I say, tsunami that happened at the last election. So a massive change of government. People thought something will follow, but what we've had is quiet storm, peace, because people are looking and getting the right things done. The government has really been taking things one by one at its pace, studying them carefully, and I hope this continues, and it's a potential for a very bright future. And I think very soon you all come to Kwara to see how a few things are done properly, with due respect to everybody. We need more support in Kwara. We already set up some good governance. We hope to endure, and we know to endure, given the way it is being taken. So I'll simply say, let's get back to our values. Let us create a national vision. I don't know what our national vision is now. We have to democratize the national vision. What does the governor of Plateau know? What does the governor of Kwara know? How would we talk to our people? What is our national vision? Do we have one? The national vision makes us come together. Then we have goals, including security, and we work on them. So every Nigerian knows what his goal is. Every Nigerian knows what his vision is. And I think these are some of the gaps that we have to close quickly. It takes a long time, but we must have a concerted effort towards doing this. We thank you for this opportunity, and I sincerely hope I've not gone beyond my frame, but I thought I'm contributing to the national debate as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm tempted to ask if His Royal Highness was an administrator. Your Excellencies, distinguished members of High Table, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to Niger as I invite His Royal Highness, the Emir of Borgu, Barrister Dr. Muhammad Haliru Kanturu, G. Kanturu III.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Your Excellencies, our various state governors, the Inspector General of Police, the keynote speaker, distinguished Your Royal Highnesses, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Let me start by congratulating our governors and the Inspector General of Police for hosting this very important summit in the life of our zone, in the life of our people. And also congratulate this keynote speaker for delivering a very well-informed address. I'm sure many of us here today are better informed about what community policing is all about. Most of us, the traditional rulers, I'm sure we are more informed. I want to say that community policing, as far as Niger is concerned, has started. What I know with this summit, we are going to improve on what we are doing, we have been doing. Let me say, with the proactiveness of our governor and our state government, the Niger State has started community policing through vigilante, and in collaboration with the Nigerian police and the traditional institution. We have been doing our best in this regard, and the government has given all the necessary support that we require to make sure the lives of and property of our people is well secured. Moreover, we cannot say we don't have certain challenges. We do have challenges, but I believe with our resolve, we shall overcome our challenges. What we need in Niger State is a backup. We need a proper law to back up our community policing so that we can do much more better to secure our people. You are all aware that there are certain challenges in terms of bandits in Niger State. But Niger State is central to Nigeria, where you have people coming from the south and also people coming from the north. Those days, the Tegna Road from Jeba, Mokwa, Tegna used to be the road that people who are coming from the south take to the north, and people coming from the north down to the south. But today, because of these challenges, people don't pass those roads again. And why? Because bandits have taken over those areas. And these are areas that I want to call upon the security agencies and the federal government to pay serious attention to. Because if our people cannot use a road and the roads are bad, then what else? Then people will be under fear that they will not be able to use the roads they are used to using. And this brings us to even what is happening in the state in terms of roads. When people are diverting to roads in Niger State instead of following the other side, which we are used to, then we have too much on our roads, and our roads are getting bad. And because of that, the bandits, the criminals, are taking advantages of this and are using whatever they could to attack our people. So I want to call on the federal government to pay attention to Niger State in particular, our roads, so that we have a very good road and the bandits will not be able to use that as an advantage to attack our people or kidnap our people. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I have some few points I also want to mention so that we can get a headway to our problems in Niger.